Gear 5 is the awakened form of the 𝐻𝐤𝐜𝐞 model Nika. Luffy achieved this ability during his final battle with Kaido on Onigashima. In chapter 1053, the world government was shocked to see Luffy's wanted poster in his Gear 5 form. The world government then requested Morgan to retract the news and change Luffy's name and photo on the wanted poster. Unfortunately, the world government's request was impossible to do because the news had already spread throughout the world, and the news certainly reached Monkey D Dragon. What's interesting is, how did Dragon react when he saw his son's wanted poster in the form of a sun god? Before we discuss Dragon's reaction, let's first discuss the history of Sun God Nika. First mentioned in chapter 1018, Nika is a legendary warrior who is considered a god. He lived centuries ago in the world of One Piece, which according to 𝐻𝐤𝐜𝐿, he was worshipped as a god in the past. Nika is known to have an important role, especially for slaves. He always brings happiness and laughter to them. However, the legend of Nika seems to be more than just laughter and happiness for people. Many people in the past, especially slaves and captives, believed that Nika would free them. He would also free all slaves and captives and protect them all. This is what they believed, which is how Nika came to be worshipped as a god. This belief is still valid today, where 𝐻𝐤𝐜𝐿 himself prayed and believed that Nika would appear and free him after what happened. 𝐻𝐤𝐜𝐿 himself heard stories about Nika's figure from guards in prison. And what's interesting is that after the guard told about Nika's figure, he then disappeared. This seems to illustrate that all stories about Nika are subjects of conversation that should not be discussed at all. Although he had hoped that Nika would release him, the fact is that 𝐻𝐤𝐿 never felt that way. Instead, he escaped from prison on his own terms, without ever managing to meet Nika. Based on his single, silhouetted appearance, Nika appears to be a thin, warrior-like figure with spindly limbs and flame-shaped hair. According to legends heard by 𝐻𝐤𝐿, Nika is a heroic and benevolent figure who befriends slaves. It is said that Nika would one day come for the slaves to free them from their oppressive masters and bring smiles to their faces. Legend states that Nika was a great warrior. In his silhouette appearance, he is seen holding a sword and spear. The concept of the sun god is very common in several real-world cultures. Due to the importance of the sun to life as a whole, most sun gods are often recognized as symbols of power and prosperity. According to the words of 𝐻𝐤𝐿, there is a connection between Nika, who is claimed to be a sun god, and the sun pirates, although it is unknown whether or not there really is a connection. Technically, Fisher Tiger may fit the description, as he freed the slave Mary Joa and was the first captain of the sun pirates. Several cultures in the world have been shown to worship the sun or gods associated with it. Moose of the ancient Shandia tribe from 400 years ago once mentioned that he would meet the sun god after her sacrifice. The late queen of Fishman Island greatly admired the sun, often using it as a symbol for which fishermen and mermaids must fight. The Elbaf giants celebrate the death and rebirth of the sun through the winter solstice festival. Of course, the role of the sun god Nika is very important in the world of One Piece, especially after knowing that Luffy is the successor to Nika's determination. Seeing this, of course Dragon will be very amazed because the sun god Nika has the same ideology as him, namely freeing the slaves. This meeting between father and son is likely to happen in the near future.